Welcome to EnigmaCast, nerds. And I've got a show for you guys tonight, man. I just actually found a close friend that I didn't even know. I'm not going to give up her location because she's high value down here in the state of Florida. I've came across a Bigfoot researcher out of Florida, Marie Dumont. Did I get that right, Marie?
Yes, yes.
Right, Marie Dumont down here in Florida, and she has graciously agreed to come on the show and talk to us about a very specific video that was sent to me by another follower of mine down here in Florida. Was telling me that how squatchy is the word I use, is Florida, and he sent me a tape or a recording. I posted it up on Instagram, and Marie actually commented on that, and she actually has researched it, right? So she's agreed to come on, talk to us, and school us up. Because we know a lot about the Appalachian Mountains, Enigmites, because that's where we get down with those weirdos up there. But down here in Florida, it's a whole other level. This heat's nothing to deal with. So, Marie, thank you for coming on the show. Tell all my followers a little bit about you, please.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. My name is Marie Dumont, and I am the founder of the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group and research team. And I've had my group for probably about 6.5 years now. And I have over 10,000 followers now. The very interesting thing about my group is, and this is my intention of the group, was to collect as many Florida researchers, people in Florida who do research or who are interested in it or who have seen, had sightings or experiences. Basically a safe place for them to, tell their stories without getting ridiculed. I run a very tight ship with my group. So everybody seems to love the group. But my team and I, my research team consists of Mike Aguilar, Ruby Joe Brew, Christina Lawhorn, and Bob Schmeltz. And so we are out in the woods or swamps of Florida every single weekend. And at least one of us on the team is out. It's usually me. Like this past weekend, I was out 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday. I was out both days doing research. So that's what we've done for like over 6.5 years. So, but I've always been a paranormal investigator. I've done that for over 30 years. Started out with ghost hunting and aliens and UFOs, and then evolved into Bigfoot. And I had some friends who were interested in Bigfoot, and I was like, I don't know about that. And then we went camping with a bunch of other people about 7 years ago, and in the Ocala National Forest. And coldest night of the year, it was on a Saturday, just one night. And about 1:30 in the morning, heard this huge, loud, lengthy vocalization. It was just a whoa, just long, long, long. It took something with incredible lung capacity to be able to make a call like that. It was just one, and we all just looked at each other and we're like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, they do exist. I want to be the one to prove they exist in our state. I don't know if you know or not, but Florida is number 3 in the United States for the most reported sightings and experiences. We're number 3. So it's Washington, California, and Florida.
Wow. Well, I came to the right place, man, because people told me Florida was squatchy. And so Marie's going to school us up a little bit.
Oh, yes.
So Marie actually she actually investigated this video clip that was put on there. So some of you people watching the show, if you haven't followed us before, through the power of editing, I'm going to put that video right here. And now we're back. So yes, Marie Dumont actually went out and investigated that clip. Now, when that clip was sent to me, there was a little bit of the phone game was added into it. The Bigfoot, I was told that was a 9-foot Bigfoot or swamp ape or skunk ape, I'm sorry. Marie, you can explain that in a second as we go along, why they refer to them down there as skunk apes or swamp apes. A 9-foot Bigfoot running through 3 foot of water, right? But Marie, you actually went out there in the location and you have some interesting results. And could you please share that with us?
Sure.
Yep.
So, David Shealy, he's the one who recorded that video. He's down in Big Cypress in Okeechobee, Florida. He has the Skunk Ape Research Headquarters, and he's the one who filmed that video. That video.
Marie, real second, where is that place at? That forest, geographically wise? We all know what Florida looks like, but like, is it in the middle, Orlando, someplace like that?
Oh no, that's the Everglades.
Everglades.
That's all.
Okay, gotcha.
Big Cypress is the name of the area in the Everglades, and there's a little teeny tiny little town called Okeechobee, and that's where David Shealy has his research headquarters, and he also has a large campground there. And then behind the campground is Big Cypress, the Everglades, where it's all the sawgrass, the hammocks, and the tree hammocks and all that stuff. So his first sighting happened when he was 10 years old. His older brother, they were walking through they were going through the sawgrass. I mean, that's what kids do in the Everglades, right? You're out there looking for snakes and gators, and you're just out there, right?
Right.
They're just playing out in the sawgrass, and his brother saw a skunk ape going through the sawgrass behind their campground, probably about a mile or half a mile behind the campground. And but David couldn't see him. So his brother lifted him up so he could look and he could see it. So that was his first sighting was when he was 10 years old.
Wow. He
had another sighting back in the 90s. He took a series of like 27 photographs of a skunk ape running through the grass. Okay. So that video is his third sighting. That's from July 8th of the year 2000. It happened around 7:19 in the evening. So July is obviously the wet season in the Everglades, and it's incredibly hot there, just incredibly hot. So there's at least 1.5 foot, 2.5 feet of water there in the summertime, could be 3 feet of water out in sawgrass. And so, so that happened in the year 2000. And people ridiculed the video. They're like, oh, there's just a guy in a suit running in the grass, blah, blah, blah. But no one ever, in 20 years, no one has ever investigated that report, that sighting, and the place where it happened at. So David Shealy used to be a team member of mine. And so him and I were talking, and I was like, why has no one ever done a research study on it? And he's like, I don't know. He says people just make assumptions. They think he's hoaxing and all this good stuff. Well, that's when I decided, you know what? We're going to do it.
Get involved. Get in there, Marie. Get in there.
Yeah. Get in there. Get him. So I talked it over with the team, and they all agreed it would be something interesting to do. So we went, I think it was in 2022, we went twice to do reenactments of this place, February, March. That's the peak of the dry season, because that's the only way we could get in there to get where the skunk ape was in July. Back in 2000, we had to be able to get there. So we had to walk through the sawgrass for like a mile.
Wow.
And so David took us exactly where it happened. He showed us, the hammocks and stuff. So I just want to tell you real quick what a hammock is. So the video, right? The video is sawgrass is what you see. But in the distance, you see what looks like islands of trees. Those are called hammocks.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the highest parts. They're the driest parts. So that's where all the animals and stuff migrate to. They want to be near the, the hammocks because they can hide there. There's shade there and it's dry. They can go there, lay down, sleep or whatever. So the first thing we did was a reenactment. And so team member Mike Aguilar and Chris, they both went to the starting location where the skunk ape was. When it first started walking through the sawgrass, and then it took off running. And when it ran, that's the really interesting thing because it just glided. Right. You don't see, if it was a human doing it, their head would be bopping up and down. Correct. While moving through the sawgrass. In the video, he's just gliding. He's going extremely fast.
Yeah, he was moving.
He's moving. Yeah. And he's just gliding, which is really bizarre. And David had said that he saw a deer running through the grass prior to the skunk ape running through the grass. So he thinks the skunk ape was going after the deer.
Right.
That's why it took off running, right? So Mike and Chris went to the starting point and they tried to do it. They tried to run through the grass during the dry season. They couldn't do it. They were exhausted. They were beat. They could not do it because that sawgrass is 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. At times it was over their shoulders, and that stuff is razor sharp. And there's also, I
didn't know that. No.
There's also like at least 1 to 2 feet of dead sawgrass that's matted down. So your feet get caught in there. So you have to like purposely get your feet out of the sawgrass in order to move because your feet are tangled up in that, massive sawgrass. Plus you got mud or water. You've got holes in the ground. You got logs. You got gators. You have snakes. There's even sharks and rays, stingrays and stuff that come in from the Gulf, and they're chasing, they're going after fish or bait fish or whatever. Right. So you don't know what you're going to encounter there, like in July, right? Yeah. But we were there in the dry season, so the only thing the guys had to worry about was snakes, gators, holes, logs, and water, right? So they could not do it, and both of them tried. So then the next thing was a month later. I brought out a friend of mine. His name is Thomas Brandon, and he is a trail runner. He's a highly experienced trail runner. He's 6'3". And so we took him out there, and we wanted to see if he could run as fast as a skunk ape because he's used to, trail running. And so he tried. He started out walking, and then Mike was out there too, and he told him, okay, start running. And he tries to run, and you can see in the video that we did, our little documentary video, is he's looking for the next, the path of least resistance, right? Where you're going to take the next step. Right. So you're not just like running, humans got to look down, right? They don't want to trip on something. They're going to look for where to take the next step, where there's a path. The skunk ape didn't do that. It just went. It just ran straight. It didn't look down. It didn't care if there was a log or a hole or a shark there, or, a snake or a gator. Did not care. And so he couldn't do it. Thomas could not do it either. I mean, he was a little bit better at some running, but he said the problem was his feet kept getting caught up in the sawgrass, just like I told you. And so, so there was 2 reenactments that we tried during the dry season.
During the dry season. That's amazing.
We couldn't do it. Yeah. We could not do it. So then I, I got on the internet, and then I was trying to find some data about what the conditions were like in July 8th of 2000. So I was able to find some old water station readings that were close in the area and stuff like that. The temperature that day, it was 90 something degrees with 75% humidity.
Yeah.
Extremely hot.
Yeah.
The feel like temperature at the time was 109.5 degrees at the time of that video sighting. There is no way someone could be wearing a Bigfoot suit.
Yeah.
With it being feeling like 109 degrees outside.
Yeah.
That's not how hot it is inside the suit.
Right.
Okay. And you're running through at least 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to move. That water is going to weigh down the suit. It's going to pull it down. There's no way that a human could do it. We could not do it in the dry season. We couldn't.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that when I watched the video. But yeah, there's if that was a suit in the water, and that Bigfoot, in my opinion, he was moving with a purpose. He was moving with a purpose. You're right,
yes.
man. And you're right. If that was a dude faking it,
no.
There's no way. You know what I'm saying? There's this, and that's a great point. That's a really good point. Good job. Yeah, good job, Marie. Hey, the little star on here. Good job on that. Yeah.
Because you can't. There's no way a guy in a suit with that water.
Yeah.
And running through 3 feet of water in a Bigfoot suit. No way.
And in the video, he was not lumbering at all.
No.
He was moving. No. That thing was moving. It was moving. And again, like I said, it was moving with a purpose. It had an intention about it when it was cutting through. When it was making its move. Hey, what was that gentleman's name again that actually recorded it?
David Shealy.
David Shealy. Thank you for that. I rarely get to give thanks to the original recorder of a video on my channels, because usually it's second hand, third hand, fifth, seventh, 25th hand comes down there. It's David Shealy out of Ocala. We'll call it Everglades. Okeechobee down the Everglades.
Okeechobee, Florida.
If you're seeing this big guy, I'm going to give you a t-shirt if you want one, man. Good job, man. Good stuff. Right now I want to meet him. Right? Is he still down there?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm having my skunk ape overnight camp out down there this weekend.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you would love, I'd love to meet him down the road. We were just talking beforehand. Maybe we can make that work, down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, Maurice.
There were some other observations.
Oh, please.
Notice.
Yeah.
If you look at the video, if you look at the picture, besides the fact his head's not bobbing as he's running or walking, it's just gliding. It looks like he has a conical shaped head, which is very typical of Bigfoots. A lot of Bigfoot reports, kind of like primates, right? Where their heads are kind of conical shaped. What else? There was a few other things. The head, the speed. I can't think of some of the other stuff, but there was quite a few up. And like I said, it did not look down when it ran or walked.
No,
his
head was straight ahead. It was, like I said, it was chasing something.
It was definitely going after something. It was laser focused on it. And so probably a deer.
And that's the thing too. When I watched the video, I was like, I think a lot of people were saying oh, it's a hoax because, they like you said, no one took the time to really point out the things you just pointed out. But also, he doesn't even acknowledge those guys recording him. He doesn't even notice them. He's just he's doing his thing, right? It's not like he's not looking over to his left or looks scared or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
So Marie, in your estimate, how tall was it in your estimate?
Well, whoever said it was 9 feet tall, that's ridiculous. Now, based upon, the research that me and my team, do here in Florida, because obviously we're doing Bigfoot and skunk ape research. And, like I said, the tallest guy that did the reenactment was Thomas Brandon. He's 6'3".
Okay.
I would say he's probably about 6.5, maybe 7.
Okay.
Maybe. But I think he's probably more around 6.5 feet tall.
Okay.
9 feet? No.
No.
Water depth was probably 2.5 feet deep.
That's great. That's such amazing. Thank you. That's such amazing data. I mean, that's important. You know what I'm saying? To me, that the details are very important, right? Like, how deep was the water? It wasn't 9 feet. It was closer to 7 feet, 6.5 feet, of that nature. And it have to be, and even to me, like people are like, oh, then it's definitely fake. And I would say, well, no. It's this thing must be massively strong, strong, right? So yeah, and to because you said the gentleman who you brought on was 6'3", and he did a little bit better, but he still struggled. But this thing was 6'5", and it was was totally motoring through that what do you call that grass again? What's it? Swamp grass? What was it called?
Sawgrass.
Sawgrass, right? Yeah,
Sawgrass.
Totally,
it's sharp.
It's
sharp.
It cuts you
as you go through it, like little razors.
Okay.
Like little razor blades.
All right.
It's very sharp.
Oh, that's amazing. Is there any more?
So people just make these assumptions. Oh, it's a guy. It's just a guy in a suit running through grass. No. You don't know what it's really like out there. That's not what it was. But everybody just like, oh, it's a guy in a suit. It's a hoax. No. Yeah. Sorry, we don't believe that at all. There is no way. There's no way.
And I got to be honest with you too. Like, I don't think I have the willpower to pull a hoax in the flooded, wet season of the Everglades with gators and sharks and snakes. And
exactly.
I don't want it that bad. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I know. Of all times to hoax, right? If I'm going to hoax, it's going to be in February.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want it that bad.
It's not going to be in July when it's the most miserable time of the year here in Florida.
Yeah.
With the mosquitoes, my gosh, and the heat and humidity in the water. It's like, oh my gosh, there's just so many things, but it's just no, we just absolutely not. So it's unfair. People have ridiculed him all these years, saying that he's a hoaxer, blah blah blah, and what you're lying about a skunk ape sighting you had when you're 10 years old? Yeah. No. And he's had a total of 4. A total of 4. The video was number 3.
Okay.
But about 6 years ago or so, 6-7 years ago, he had he did a investigation in an area that had palmetto berries. It was the peak of the harvest time for palmetto berries, and apparently the skunk apes love palmetto berries. They're illegal for humans to pick because they're used for medicines, like prostate stuff. And but skunk apes love them, and he was in an area, and there were 3 creatures that a couple of them stood up and took off running. In a sawgrass area, and that was about 7-8 years ago when so he's had a total of 4 sightings in 50, 60 years.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
If you're hoaxing again, you're not going to just have 4 sightings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we took all of that into account. It's just there's no way. We did this whole little research documentary. It's 20 minutes long. It's on YouTube if anybody wants to watch it. It shows my initial interview with David Shealy. He took me out in December on his little 4-wheeler, and we went out. That's the only way we could get out there because it was wet.
Right.
I wasn't going to walk through a foot of water for a mile, and with mud and holes, no. So he had his little 4-wheeler, took me out there, showed me where it happened. And then 2 months later is when we did our first reenactment. And then the next month later, we did the second one. And then, like I said, after that, I went on the internet trying to find weather conditions, water depth, rainfall averages. In July, I think are like 29 inches at the time.
Wow.
So there's, the Everglades is called the River of Grass, which that's what it looks like, because all you see is the sawgrass. But what you don't see is the water. And that's the purest water in our state.
Really?
That is our main, resource of water is from there. It's crystal clear.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Terrifying though, right? But beautiful, right?
Oh, yes, very. Yeah. Why do I say everything in the Everglades is out to kill you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. Hey, so Marie, pivoting here real quick. So the skunk ape and the Bigfoot in Florida, is that the same thing, or is that two different categories?
We think we have two different. We have both.
Can you explain that, please? Can you break that down?
Okay. So the reason why we say that is because the reports are totally different from each other. So the skunk ape reports seem to come south. I'm in the Tampa area, which is kind of like right around the middle of the state, center of the state, right? And so everything south of Tampa, like Mayaca, is a hotspot for skunk apes. So that's Sarasota. So like Sarasota all the way down south to the Everglades, it's the skunk ape. And the skunk apes are typically 5 to 7 feet tall. They're thin. They're thin, very lean, less hair, very aggressive. And they have 4 long toes, not 5 toes. So for Bigfoots, Tampa all the way up north seems to be the typical Bigfoot reports. We got 6 to 9 feet tall, they're bulkier, they do vocalizations,
Wow.
and they have 5 toes versus 4 toes.
Wow.
So there seems to be a difference, and their behaviors seem to be very different. Like Bigfoot, when we do our Bigfoot research, we find, X's and square glyphs or asterisks. We find, all kinds of tree structure. We'll find prints. We do gifting in a certain spot where we're trying to get some interaction with them. And you'll have vocalizations. You'll hear tree knocks or whatever. You go down south, you don't have that. They don't seem to make structures. They don't seem to make too much noise. I have heard a tree knock. I've heard the samurai chatter in the Everglades.
Yeah.
One of my part-time team members found a 4-toed print down there. So it's just very different. You don't find tree structures. You don't find glyphs. You don't find teepee structures. Nothing. It's just very odd. There's big differences between the two.
Yeah. And so, I'm glad I didn't know about that samurai chatter, but I've came across a lot of researchers and talked to a lot of people about in the field. And my own observation that I've made when I pattern recognition is the samurai chatter ones are always the mean ones. They always are the mean ones for some reason. Or when I say mean, I'm talking about the rock throwers, the aggressive ones, that, circling you around and like harassing you. And I did not know that. I did not. Thank you for sharing that. I had no idea that was but it makes sense. It makes sense. Not that you need validation for your own research, but it makes sense based on other categories of, for example, I just talked to Daniel Hamilton, who had his experiences in Washington, right? And then my friend Harley Owens is an Upper East Tennessee boy. He had his experiences there. Chuck Larson is out of New Jersey. Steve Taylor's out of New Jersey, up in that part, right? And their descriptions and their interactions are all different, and it seems to be that, well, the only way that it makes sense to me is that if it's geographical locations tend to, maybe the environment tends to create them in different manners. Like I did a couple videos on I think Siege of Zenobia, about these boys out in Oklahoma that got into a shootout with a couple Bigfoots off their porches. And then I went back to like 1855 when the Choctaw went to war with cannibalistic Bigfoots in LaFleur County as well, right? And my absolute favorite, I did one of my first episodes, was the Seraphin Long abduction story out of British Columbia, where, she claimed that she was taken by one of these things for like a year, right?
Oh, wow.
And so her village chief, or at the time, was, she recited the first-hand story to an English teacher that was on the reservation. It's a great episode. You can check it in my archives. I'd love to get your feedback on it as well. But he was saying, the chief was telling him, like, yo, these things have their own personalities. They have their own mannerisms. Some of them are nice. Some of them are hateful. Some of them are very friendly. He even said that one of them actually lived with them for like several months, right? And that they can speak our language when they want to, right? They don't always do it, right? But again, when you flip the switch, exactly what you were saying is, if you move down into Oklahoma, and especially in like Louisiana, right? So I haven't talked to a researcher firsthand in Louisiana, but I've talked to people who've had experiences down there. They say they have a 3-toed version down there that's absolutely just terrifying to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's funny how you were telling me that the ones, in the Everglades, where, like you just said, and I can totally see it, right? Like everything down there wants to kill you.
Yep.
They have developed that aggressive, throughout time, that aggressive, behavior on it as well. That's amazing. Wow, Marie.
Yeah, because, just think what's in the Everglades,
Yeah.
They got to deal with pythons, rattlesnakes, water moccasins, Florida panthers. You've got alligators, you got crocodiles. Of course, like I said, there's even sharks.
Got the occasional bull shark out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they come in.
And like I tell people too, when I, growing up in the Appalachian Mountain Range up in Upper East Tennessee, I tell people too, the most dangerous thing you'll meet is another human out there. So I'm sure the Everglades.
That's mine. That's what I always say.
Yeah. So add that to the mix.
I'm scared of humans. There's human out there, because I know what I'm doing out there, but what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You're looking for Bigfoots too? No.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
So why are you out here?
You
right?
look like you're up to no good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wow, Marie, that is awesome. So I'd like to throw a couple questions at you just to get your personal opinion on here, right? It's something that I do every time I talk to any type of cryptid researcher. Like I said, I have friends in Australia and New Zealand that have studied the Yowie down there. I think it's called the Yowie, their version, and it's crazy mean. It's so mean. But at the end of the again, I have friends in the UK as well, and there seem to be a lot nicer in the UK. But it always comes back to me like when you get past, for example, common ground. All Bigfoot researchers admit it's something that I refer to as the not us's, right? Not us, right? It is something, right? So we all agree on that hey, look, this is not just a figment, not a hoax. That it is, we're dealing with something, right? Mm-hmm. And the researchers I've came across seem to be divided into 2 camps. There is it's a hominid forgotten species. And other ones say, no, it's much, much more than that. It is spiritual being, some type of remnant of, the Nephilim, the Anunnaki, the Watchers, cross hybrid, something, whatever. So Marie, where do you fall on that discussion? On like I said, I ask it for everybody.
Well, I'm more of the it's an ancient people. It's an ancient tribe. Early human, Neanderthal type, probably. And I, the reason why I say that, like you were talking about, they can speak English if they want to.
Oh,
I've heard them say, hey, they've said hey to us a few times out there in the woods. But our friend Thomas Seawick, he is a native in Washington State. And, he went feral for like 270 something days, I think. So he was out living out there with them. He saw the stuff they were doing. He was able to even speak to them. But what they were speaking was an ancient native language called Chinook or something like that. It was
awesome.
They could speak it, and he happened to know some of the words of that ancient language. So he was able to talk to them, just like a sentence or two, kind of like they introduced each other.
Yeah.
And he was able to understand them, and they were able to understand him. So that's just my look, look about it. But with that said, I do tend to think that they have special abilities that we would consider to be supernatural.
Absolutely.
Maybe that ability to cloak.
No, go cook, Marie. Just cook. Just keep cooking, girl. Just keep cooking. Just keep cooking. No, you're absolutely 100% right. And I'll tell you, this is what gets me. I get it. You got to get past the first 5 minutes of me, and you'll like me. But a lot of people don't make it past the third minute. I tell people all the time that, like, on my channel, I talk about all kinds of things, man. And one of the things I talk about is how basically everything we've been taught is a lie, right? Like our history is a lie. Everything's a lie. And I'm a Christian. I read the Bible, but I get into a lot of aggressive conversations with other Christians when I point out things that in Genesis, it said God took man and made him in his image, right? And so I brought up the theory. And again, if I go the other way too, when I argue with the people who follow the Enki, the Enlil, the Sumerian tablets, all that stuff, where they created this basically Sasquatch called Enkidu, right? And he went to war with Gilgamesh. Put all that away. It doesn't matter. We don't have to talk about the origin story. But what I will tell you on this is that I've spoken with people out of the northwestern part of the United States of America, all the way up to British Columbia, all the way into Australia. And they have told me firsthand accounts of orbs being present moments before a Bigfoot shows up. Moments before, right? In subdivisions, in subdivisions, not out in the wild. There was this other guy who told me that he was camping in Alaska, not even like wild camping, like kind of like a Yogi Berra campground, like had like a bathroom or whatever. And he said he was out there with his wife, a little remote, but nothing crazy. And he said that 3 orbs floated to him, and in a blink of an eye, one of them was a Bigfoot standing in front of him. And nice. they had some type of like little thing, and it blinked out and it went away. And then also I have spoken to in the northeastern part of Americas, up around north of West Virginia, in that area, Native American tales about how they used to think that the Bigfoots came to collect spirits because they would see them orb in and out of, existence. I don't know whatever. That's what people get upset about. Like, that's a powerful word. I'm just saying 1 minute they're there, 1 minute they're not, and vice versa, right? 1 minute they're not there and they're there and you see these orbs. So yes, exactly what you just said. There is something special about some type of special abilities that seem foreign to us that they possess, that they can do at will. And then I actually think that the more aggressive ones, like the ones that I talk about, especially in Oklahoma, Alaska, they've somehow are regressing. They're losing that kind of ability, right? So because that's how I actually think there's structure in like a civilization, like a, lack of a better word, manners, right? I think that there's like, levels in their society because they're obviously, even if you want to say, oh, there's some monkey we haven't found, which again, sure, if you want to believe that, that's your opinion. If people watching this, I'm not trying to, get you to get mad or anything like that. You can't not admit that even if they are some type of, ancient monkey, they're freaking smart. They are freaking smart, man. Like way smarter than we ever give them credit for. And because again, you never find a dead body, or if we do find a dead body, which I think we have, but I think the government covers it up because we're well aware of it. But they either collect their dead, or they're smart enough to do other things, or they have a ritual, or they bury them, or they do whatever, right?
Well, just think about this, Joseph. I mean, if you had this creature that had supernatural capabilities, wouldn't that make a great super soldier?
Yeah, for sure, right? Yeah, that freaked me out, right? So
I've seen orbs twice, 2 days in a row at a campground, South Florida, around Lake Okeechobee. I had a personal experience with them 2 nights in a row.
You want to share that? Would you like to share that? Could you share that?
Yeah. The first one was the coolest one.
Right.
So we were at this camp. We were doing a night investigation, and so there's multiple campgrounds at this place that we were at. So we picked one of them, and so there was a pavilion. We just all set up our thermals, night vision, recorders, whatever. So there was probably, I think, 5 or 6 of us, and we were all pointed different directions. Just set up, we're being quiet, we're just watching. So I was using my thermal, my monocular, and my monocular, if I look at it too long, it'll dilate my eye. So it really kind of messes me up. So I can only look around briefly, and I put it down and I let my eye rest, get readjusted. So in the meantime, I'm staring at this tree line in front of me. And I'm just I'm just getting kind of bored. And I'm just staring at the tallest tree at this tree line. All of a sudden, in front of this giant, the biggest tree there, this huge boom flash of light. I mean, white LED light. It was bigger than a basketball. It appeared right in front in the canopy of this tree that I was staring at. I was like, whoa, holy crap. What was that? And then it changed from this big orb down to about the size of a softball. And it started moving. Now I'm going to say, first of all, there were no fireflies that night. Okay, just remember that. So anyway, this thing starts moving. So it changes from this down to this, and it starts moving down the tree line, and it's just moving. It's like just vibrate, pulsating, kind of pulsating. It's moving along, and everybody else is like, what? I said, look. So now they're watching. One of my researchers was right next to me, and it there's some bushes here. So it starts to go behind the bush. Now we're waiting for this thing to come out from the other side of the bush. What comes out from behind the bush was this teeny tiny little green light that you would think is a firefly, right? It was green. And I'm like, whoa, this is odd. It comes right to me. It's like I'm talking to him. I'm like, oh, look how cute. Oh, my God. Look at you. Look at that. I'm like, wait a minute. He's coming right at me. It came directly at me. When it got to about 2.5 feet in front of me, it turned and went right next to my shoulder, disappeared.
Wow.
That's it. So it was this huge orb, and it went down to this itty bitty little green light.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. It was freaking amazing.
That's amazing.
And later that evening, I heard a big knock that sounded like a baseball bat cracking, like a broken baseball bat, just crack. I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And, you know, can't explain that, right? But when you think about orbs, you know, orbs are seen ghost hunting. Orbs are seen with aliens and UFOs.
For sure.
And Bigfoots.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that an odd thing that all three of those, they all have orbs associated with them?
And I talk to people. I don't see why some people actually think it's such a far reach, because like literally we know the spirit world or spirit realm is real. We know that, right? So I don't understand why some people are like, no. I don't get it why they think that would be too far of a leap to go in for you know, for them to believe that, you know, that they would have this type of ability, you know, to, you know, do whatever. But it's just, you know, there's just way too many cases where orbs are, in fact, I'll even tell you another thing that I've noticed, right? I go on the website, the BOFAR, I forget what it's called, man, the Bigfoot Research, you know, where they class BFRO. I go into the BFRO website, right? And I read some of their reports, and I actually have a second channel called the Enigma Daily, where I just do a 10-minute live every day, and I talk about this type of stuff. I just launched it last week. But I'm telling you, man, I actually think that they leave those orbs out a lot out of the reports. I actually do. I think they leave that out because they don't associate with what they're seeing, right? But I bet you that if they ask, hey, did you see any type of, you know, they don't want to ask leading questions, I guess, but like, did you see any type of other strangeness or other stuff like that into it? I bet if they ask the orb question to people who have witnessed it, they would be surprised at the amount of responses they get. Like, oh yeah, now that you mention it, there was some weird, you know, lighting, something that was going on, right?
Yes. Because they're not into the woo. They don't want to be associated really with the woo factor. And but you know, like I said, I've been a paranormal researcher for over 30 years, so I'm used to it. But we're not looking for paranormal activity when we're Bigfoot researching. It just happens.
Well, I say it to them all the time, and they don't know whether to laugh at me or look at me side eye. Like, why are you worried about people going to say you're weird? You're hunting for Bigfoots, dog. They already think you're weird. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Just get weirder. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get more weird, right? Get into it. Yeah, nah. So that's the thing that I wish people would kind of like just.
But the thing is, based upon what you just said, you have to take all of it into account. You can't pick and choose what you want it to, what the information is. The information is what it is.
Yeah.
The data is what it is. And if you're really trying to figure this out, you got to take all of it into account. You can't pick and choose just so you're directing the outcome, right? Yeah. If you're wanting it to be Nephilim, well, guess what? Yeah. Everything that you do, you're going to look up everything to try and prove your point, right?
Yeah, you're trying to drive that. You're trying to justify already your own, results, correct. Right? And again, the thing that I really wish that more researchers would just be open-minded to it, to look into it. One of the things I say on this show a lot, and I don't know if it lets people down or not, or people say I say, I don't know, right? And I think that some Bigfoot researchers have gotten to the point where they've so closed their mind to it that they think they have it all figured out. Right? And it's, this is what it is. This is what it does. I've been doing this for 30 years. And I'm thinking, like, you've been doing it for 30 years wrong if that's what you're doing, because at least what you think, you've been doing it for 30 years and you've never seen these orbs. You've seen them, bro, but you're just writing them off, right? And
correct.
The Appalachian mountain range is where, you know, I got a lot of my time in Shenandoah and those Smoky Mountains and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are weird on their own. There's tons of stuff that go on there at night that are just freaking crazy, right? That you don't have any explanation to. And so I just, you know, like I said, to each his own, but I think that I've never been involved in these conversations, but I've seen researchers refuse to work with each other over stuff like this. Oh no, he's a woo hooey, whatever. No, this is it. And I'm like, okay. And so like I do collabs. I'll bring 3 or 4 researchers on at the same time. Matter of fact, welcome to the rotation, Marie. I'll bring 3 or 4 researchers on at the same time. Because I get a lot of questions that people send me a lot of questions, right? And it's usually they try to like, well, if this is this, explain this. And so I'll bring in people from all over, like, you know, the world. I'm like, hey, look, this is what we ask these guys. They've got the time in the field, and I'll read the questions and they'll come back to them. But I've met guys, and like I said, they're not bad guys, right? But I've met guys who 100%, this is just Gigantopicosaurus or something like that. It's just a forgotten hominid, and that's all it is. And I'm very upfront with what I think, but they don't have a problem with me. But I say, well, what about so-and-so? They're like, oh, I refuse to work with him. He's full of it. He's a hokey, whatever. He thinks they're out there. He's totally wrong. I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, oh, okay, well, you know, sure. But what you just said is, I think, the key to any successful cryptozoology research is basically, it is what it is. It's definitely, like I said, it's something, right? You argue all you want, but you got to keep an open mind, right? And the orb phenomenon is legit. It's like, it's a thing, right? So
yes, it doesn't happen too often for us. I think I've only had it happen a couple times, and it just happened to be at that one location 2 nights in a row. The second sighting, we went to a different campground at night, again, doing the exact same thing. I got kind of bored again, and I told Mike, I said, come on, let's go take a walk. We go kind of like go walk in the middle of this huge camping area and look over to the right and see this orb of light, bright white LED. It looked like somebody had a flashlight and they were looking for something because it kept going back and forth, back and forth. It was moving around, but it just kept doing that. It looked like somebody was searching for something. And so Mike, you know, I had my thermal with me, right? I'm looking, there's nothing there. He's like, there's somebody over there. There's somebody over there in the woods. I'm like, no, there isn't. He's like, yeah, there is. I said, no, look. I give him my thermal, nothing. He's like, that freaked him out because he's another, you know, he never believed in the paranormal side of it. Like orbs, that was his first experience ever with an orb. And he was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. I said, Mike, look at this. I don't know. It just vanished, but it looked like it was looking for something. Not us. It was just going through the trees and just kept going back and forth. And it was big, like the size of a baseball. So it wasn't a firefly, okay?
Yeah, for sure. And again, people say it's fireflies, and you're like, you've never you've never been off the white trail at your local park hiking. You don't know what firefly in the wild. I tell the people all the time, the Appalachian Mountain Range at night. I've never been down here in Florida, but maybe Marie, it's so dark at night. You can see a cigarette light up from like literally 2 miles away, right? It's how dark it is, right?
Right.
It's not a firefly, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, it's not a little orange, little yellowish firefly out there. And again, you know, to talk about, you know, the strange factor to it, the cloaking aspect, I'm 100% convinced now. That's something new that I've been on to about the last year is the cloaking aspect of it, right? That's something strange as well. Like they literally, like, I hate to call it, like the only reference I have is the old Predator movie, how it glimmers or whatever. But again, I've seen photos like that is, I don't know what that is, but like that is definitely something there. And the most recent thing that's got me scratching my head, this has only been relatively over the last 6 months. People have sent me things of what, I mean, I can't explain it any other way than this. It looks like they're stepping out of a tree. Like, I don't know what that, I don't know. Have you had any experience with that?
No.
Have you ever seen those pictures?
I mean, they'd be hiding behind a tree.
Yeah.
Now, whether stepping out from inside the tree, probably not. It's probably stepping out from behind the tree.
Yeah, it's so strange, right? Yeah.
Right? Because a couple of years ago, I was at a park, Starkey Park, which it's not too far from where you are.
Okay.
I found a footprint right at the base of a tree. I mean, a couple times, right at the base of a trunk of a tree. And they probably move tree to tree to tree to tree, right?
Yeah.
So they're always walking
That's
behind
a
a
good
tree.
point. Yeah,
They can hide, right?
Yeah.
So they can easily be hidden. So they just constantly move, I think, behind trees, from one tree to the next.
No, that's
it's
a
the
good
easiest way to disappear, right? They can just look and take a step. You know?
Oh yeah, I'm 100% convinced that I've been in certain places. Look, I'm a firm believer. I do a little comedy thing on here during the show. It was like the ancient Enigma files, how not to die in the woods, right? And I tell people this is that like, the Appalachian Mountain Range is, like I said, is where I have a lot of my experience in there. And getting off the beaten path, if you're on that trail and you want to really get into it, I don't recommend this if you're not seasoned, is walk a mile to the left or the right of the trail, right? Just a mile, right? It's a completely different universe. It's completely different, right? It's there is no little blue marks on the tree or anything like that.
Right.
And I will tell them, I've told people this I've learned this in my life, is if you have a feeling, right? Like if you have a feeling, this is important, man. Trust that feeling. If something feels off, you need to get your head up, man, and look around. Something is off. And that's the thing that when I see some of these videos, some people send me some things. I don't post, I think I have a fairly good screening process with them, but some of the stuff they send me, I'm like, I don't think that was a Bigfoot dog. I think that was something completely different that had bad intentions for you, right? So I have conversations with them that way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that is a fascinating theory that, yeah, they would make sense that they would, cloak with the trees or whatever, just to bend in and out. But like I was saying, I'm 100% convinced that they've watched me several times and I've had no clue they were there. No clue, right? And yeah. I think that's probably a lot of people. I think they're, for the most part, watchers.
Same for me. Nothing really scares me. Mm-hmm. I've been, like I said, paranormal investigator for 30 years. So I've seen and experienced all kinds of things. Yeah. So nothing really scares me. Of course, if I see another human on the trail, that scares the daylights out of me. I don't want to encounter a wild hog out there. And I have been in situations before. I don't want to step on a snake. We've been there, done that. Mm-hmm. So rattlesnakes and water moccasins. Yeah. But there's just so many things out there. And
that's a great word.
They're masters of camouflage. Yeah. Right. So it wouldn't take much. I always kind of thought that, their hair, because their hair has been kind of reported to be kind of like different colors, but it's also kind of clear. Mm-hmm. Like maybe if they turn a certain way, maybe it kind of looks like they disappear. I don't know. Maybe it's the ability to cloak.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, but at least you're asking the questions, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the important thing on there. That's it, man. You got that 1,000-yard stare, Mary. Nothing scares you, man. You just got that. You've been to the edge, and you look death in the face and came back. You've been there. Oh,
I really see it. I mean, that doesn't sure. Am I going to be startled? I personally have not seen one yet. I have seen a black shadow figure walk past some trees. It wasn't 3-dimensional. It was just like a flat shadow figure. In Odessa, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes,
I gotta keep my head on a swivel then.
And so that's what I've seen, but I've had every kind of experience you can imagine.
Yeah.
In February 2023, we went camping in Jennings State Forest, up, which is around Jacksonville, southwest of Jacksonville. And we did a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday we get there, it lightly rained. Some security people took us out to this one area, and they thought, oh, this is really cool area. You may want to look here. Cool. I start walking, and I find footprints. And I found a 1/4-mile trackway of 16-inch prints with a 54-inch stride between each one of them.
Wow.
So it went straight down a forest road, right in the median, right in the middle of it. And it walked straight to where there was a creek, a very deep creek. And so he probably, jumped over it or went through it. I wasn't going to swim through or anything, jump over. I couldn't jump over this creek. It was really extremely deep.
Wow.
And but after I found that, so it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, right? We go back to the campground, and I am car camping, sleeping in my car. Ruby sleeping in her car. Her car is about 15 feet away from my car. And then Mike and Chris were at the next campsite, and they were in tents. So I'm in my car, and I can't sleep. I'm just laying in the back where the hatchback is, I lay down the seats, I put up cushions, all that stuff. Can't sleep. So I'm just laying there, and I hear boom, 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 walking along my car on the driver's side. It walked back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, what the heck is that? I'm very skeptical. I'm kind of like, okay, that had to be Ruby. But what the heck is Ruby doing next to my car? And what is she doing up at 3 or 4 in the morning? And blah, blah. I'm just kind of like trying to justify it. And then it pushed my car. It pushed the back of my car where I was at. And I was like, whoa, holy crap. And why did it do that? Did it see me when I found its prints? And it followed us back to the campsite and decided to harass me? Right? In the morning, I'd go down, meet up everybody for breakfast, and Mike comes out of his tent. He's like, oh, man, we didn't sleep that great. There was something big and bipedal walking around our tent. And I'm like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? So I told him what happened to me with him, something walking along my car and pushing my car when I was in it. My car was unlocked. It could have very easily pulled the door open.
Yeah, for sure.
It wanted to, but it didn't.
For sure.
So for I was kind of like, do I report this to the BFRO? Do I not? So I just decided after a couple months later, yes, I'm going to report it to the BFRO. So an investigator came out, Dr. Bob, great guy. And I gave him all the details, the GPS. I mean, we did everything. We did 3D scans. We took casts. We took pictures. We took videos. We, every possible thing. We measured everything. And so he determined that it was real. It was, legitimate. What happened? Told him the whole thing. And then he he gave the report to Matt Moneymaker. And he's the head of the BFRO. And so Matt posted my report, and he talked about it. He knows about that spot. I didn't know about that spot, and I kind of like it that way. I like not knowing, that something's there, but he knows about it. He is very aware that there is a Bigfoot that likes to go in the campgrounds and harass campers. He knows of that. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That's exactly what happened.
That is amazing.
And it happened, our first night there. So
So if you want some experiences, man, I'll introduce you to a couple of my buddies, and if you're up for a road trip, we'll take you up into a couple hotspots. Harley Owens is, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a Bigfoot whisperer, man. So like that and Dogman too. So anyway, so we'll save that for another conversation. Marie Dumont, Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Leader Extraordinaire. Tell all of my people where they can find you on your hotspots. And again, Enigmites, all that will be in the description of this video. I'll get that from her. So Marie, give us a quick shout out. Where can they go to locate you?
Yes, so Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group on Facebook. I also have an Instagram account by the same name, Mid-Florida Bigfoot, I think. And YouTube channel, Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. There is where we post all our videos.
Right.
And our research videos are little. They're only like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes long tops. We just, we're there to show you something. We're not going to make you listen, watch us walk in the woods for 45 minutes and talk about how great and wonderful we are.
Even though we're going to
show you something. We're going to show you a print. We're going to show you something cool we found or whatever. That's where you can also find that David Shealy research study is on the YouTube channel. And then I have a website, midfloridabigfoot.com. And if you look at the research gallery, you'll see all kinds of cool photos.
That's amazing. And, That's amazing. That will all be in the description of this video, everybody. Go out, give her a subscribe, give her a follow. It's well worth it. This has been a great conversation. Marie, thank you for coming on. Now you're in my inner circle. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of my buddies, get you on some more shows. It just came to my mind. And if you want, I'll get you out into the field. Yeah. And like I said, I'll put you out there. I'll put you in touch with everybody on there. But so, you know how we do around here, nerds. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. If you give us a thumbs down, you're a nerd, but at least let me know why you gave us a thumbs down, and we can hash it out in the comments. So, Marie, thank you again for coming on to the show. Say bye to everybody for us.
Bye. Thank you for watching.
Friends, families, and enemies, you know how we do. That's all you get for $1, nerds. And we're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.